Did you know there are over 14,000 species of mushrooms worldwide? In today's video, we will talk about mushroom basics and introduce you to 3 types of mushrooms you can grow at home, guiding you from spore to harvest. First, let's talk about the basics. What do you need to know as a beginner mushroom cultivator? Mushrooms are intriguing organisms that belong to the fungi kingdom, not the plant kingdom. They grow from spores, do not have chlorophyll, and do not perform photosynthesis like plants do. Instead of relying on sunlight, mushrooms absorb nutrients from the breakdown of organic materials in their environment. This unique process allows them to thrive in darker conditions where plants would typically fail, making significant contributions to the nutrient cycle by converting organic matter into forms usable by other plants. To successfully cultivate mushrooms, understanding their basic requirements is essential. The substrate, the material on which mushrooms grow, is crucial as it provides the necessary nutrients for their development. Different types of mushrooms require specific substrates. The substrate must not only provide nourishment, but also support the proper moisture and air exchange crucial for the growth of mycelium, the vegetative part of the fungus. This mycelial growth is vital as it breaks down and absorbs nutrients from the organic material, leading to the production of mushroom fruit bodies, which are the edible parts of fungi. Therefore, selecting the right substrate and maintaining it are fundamental aspects of successful mushroom cultivation. And of course, selecting the right type of mushroom to grow is crucial for success. You're probably wondering which of the 14,000 types to begin with, right? Next, we will delve into the types of mushrooms that are easiest to grow at home, emphasizing their specific growing conditions and preferred substrates. First up, we have oyster mushrooms. Oyster mushrooms are an excellent choice for beginner mushroom cultivators due to their resilience and straightforward growing requirements. Oyster mushrooms, scientifically known as Pleurotus austratus, are easily recognizable due to their unique fan or oyster-shaped caps, which give them their common name. The flesh of oyster mushrooms is white and firm, with a texture that can range from silky to meaty. The ideal temperature for cultivating oyster mushrooms typically ranges between 55 degrees and 75 degrees Fahrenheit, and require a high humidity level, generally between 80% to 90%. Good air circulation is also important to prevent the buildup of carbon dioxide around the growing mushrooms, which can hinder their development. Step 1. Choose your substrate. Oyster mushrooms are adaptable and can thrive on various substrates, with straw and coffee grounds being among the most popular due to their ease of preparation and effectiveness. Wheat, rye, or oat straw are ideal substrates for oyster mushrooms. To prepare the straw, it needs to be pasteurized by submerging it in hot water, around 160–170 degrees Fahrenheit, for an hour, then draining and allowing it to cool. Coffee grounds are another convenient option because they are often already pasteurized from the brewing process and can be used either fresh or dried. Step 2. Obtain oyster mushroom spawn. Purchase oyster mushroom spawn from a reputable supplier. Oyster mushroom spawn is like a seed for growing oyster mushrooms, but instead of a tiny seed, it's made up of stuff like grains or sawdust that has special mushroom roots called mycelium, growing all through it. This mycelium helps the mushrooms grow just like roots help a plant grow. The spawn is generally available in the form of grains, sawdust, or plugs that have been inoculated with oyster mushroom mycelium. Step 3. Inoculate the substrate. Mix the spawn thoroughly with your chosen and pasteurized substrate. A typical spawn to substrate ratio is about 1:10. For straw, fill plastic bags or buckets with layers of straw and evenly distribute the spawn between each layer. For coffee grounds, mix the spawn directly into the grounds. Ensure the containers are sealed with a bag or lid, but also have air holes to provide the necessary ventilation for mushroom growth, which requires some light and air. Step 4. Incubation. Place the inoculated substrate in a dark, cool place, such as a basement or cupboard, where the temperature is consistently between 55 and 75 degrees Fahrenheit. It is crucial to maintain high humidity, so keep the substrate moist but not waterlogged. Step 5. Monitor and maintain moisture. Regularly check the substrate to ensure it remains humid but not overly wet. If the substrate appears dry, lightly spray it with water. Within a few weeks, you should observe mycelium colonization, which will manifest as a white web covering the substrate. Step 6. Fruiting. Once the substrate is fully colonized, expose it to higher light levels and slightly lower temperatures, around 50 degrees to 60 degrees Fahrenheit to encourage fruiting. At this stage, an increase in humidity can further promote the growth of mushroom primordia. Step 7. Harvesting. Fruiting in the context of growing mushrooms refers to the stage when the mushrooms actually start to grow their fruit bodies, which are what we commonly recognize as mushrooms. Oyster mushrooms usually begin to fruit within a week of being exposed to the right fruiting conditions. Harvest the mushrooms when the edges of their caps are still slightly curled downwards. You can either cut them at the base with a knife or twist them off by hand. Step 8. Continuous production. After the first harvest, the substrate can often produce multiple flushes of mushrooms. Allow the substrate to rest for a couple of weeks and then re-moisten it if it appears dry to stimulate another flush. This process can be repeated until the substrate is exhausted, typically after several cycles. Oyster mushrooms are one of the easiest types of mushrooms to grow at home, offering fresh produce in a relatively short amount of time. Now, let's talk about the ever-popular Shiitake mushroom. Shiitake mushrooms can be somewhat challenging for beginners, primarily because they require specific conditions and a bit of patience to cultivate successfully. Optimal temperatures for growing shiitake mushrooms range from 55 degrees Fahrenheit to 75 degrees Fahrenheit. During the initial phase of spawn, cooler temperatures are necessary, although the mushrooms can tolerate slight fluctuations as they mature. High humidity levels, generally between 75% and 85%, are critical for the development of the fruiting bodies, helping to promote healthy growth. In terms of lighting, shiitake mushrooms require a moderate amount of light, similar to the dappled sunlight found under a forest canopy. It is important to avoid direct sunlight, as it can dry out the substrate and inhibit mushroom production. Additionally, good air circulation is essential to prevent the buildup of carbon dioxide around the growing mushrooms and to maintain the appropriate humidity levels. For substrates, shiitake mushrooms are traditionally grown on hardwood logs, which provide the necessary nutrients and structural support for the mushrooms to develop. The most common types of logs used are from hardwood trees such as oak, beech, or maple. These logs should be fresh, ideally cut within the past several weeks, to ensure that they are not already colonized by other fungi. Apart from logs, shiitake mushrooms can also be cultivated on hardwood sawdust. This sawdust is often mixed with bran or other supplements to enhance the nutrient content, and is usually formed into blocks or bags that are then inoculated with shiitake spawn. This variety in substrate options allows for flexibility in how and where shiitake mushrooms can be grown, accommodating different settings and scales of mushroom cultivation. Here at Garden Bound, to cultivate shiitake mushrooms is in hardwood logs. Step 1. Select the right logs. Start by choosing freshly cut hardwood logs for the best results. Oak is commonly used, but other hardwoods like beech, maple, and birch are also suitable. Opt for logs that are about 3 to 8 inches in diameter and around 3 to 4 feet in length. It's crucial to use logs that are freshly cut, within a few weeks, to ensure that they are free from other fungal colonization. Step 2. Source shiitake mushroom spawn. Purchase shiitake mushroom spawn from a reputable supplier. It typically comes in two forms: plug spawn, which are small wooden dowels inoculated with Shiitake mycelium, and sawdust spawn, which consists of loose sawdust that has been inoculated. Step 3. Inoculate the logs. For plug spawn, drill holes into the logs using a drill bit that matches the size of your plug spawn, typically about 5/16 inches. Space the holes about 6 inches apart along the length of the log and around its circumference in a staggered pattern to maximize colonization. Insert the plug spawn into the holes and tap them in with a hammer until they are flush with the wood. Seal the inoculated holes with a small amount of wax, such as cheese wax or beeswax, to prevent drying and contamination from other fungi and pests. For sawdust spawn, drill larger holes or longer slots into the logs. Use an inoculation tool to pack the sawdust spawn tightly into the holes or slots. Seal with wax in the same manner as for plug spawn. Step 4. Incubate the logs. Place the inoculated logs in a shaded, moist area where they can be kept at a relatively constant temperature. Ensure good airflow, but avoid direct sunlight as it can dry out the logs. Stack the logs in a manner that allows air circulation around each one, such as a log cabin or lean-to style stack. Step 5. Maintenance and watering. During dry periods, the logs may need to be soaked in water to maintain moisture. This soaking helps stimulate mycelium growth and can eventually trigger the logs to fruit. This method involves submerging the logs in cold water for 24 hours. Step 6. Fruiting. Shiitake mushrooms typically begin to produce mushrooms 6 to 12 months after inoculation, depending on environmental conditions and the type of wood used. Mushroom production is often triggered by a sudden drop in temperature, following a soaking rain or an artificial soaking, primarily in the spring and fall. Step 7. Harvesting. Harvest shiitake mushrooms when the caps are fully opened, but before the caps start to curl upwards. Use a sharp knife to cut the mushrooms off at the stem. Step 8. Resting and refruiting. After a flush of mushrooms, allow the logs a few weeks to rest and rebuild nutrients before they produce another crop. This cycle can continue for several years, with each log producing multiple flushes of mushrooms annually. And last but not least, the beautiful lion's mane mushroom. This process is not too different from those we have already discussed, so if you're interested in cultivating this mushroom with long, shaggy spines that resemble a lion's mane, you're in luck. The ideal temperature for cultivating lion's mane mushrooms typically ranges between 65 degrees and 75 degrees Fahrenheit, and they require a medium humidity level, generally between 85% to 90%. Proper air circulation is also important to prevent the buildup of carbon dioxide around the growing mushrooms, which can hinder their development. Step 1. Choose your substrate. Lion's mane mushrooms thrive best on hardwood substrates, such as sawdust or wood chips mixed with bran, due to their natural growth on dead and decaying trees. To prepare the substrate, it should be pasteurized or sterilized to reduce contaminants. This can be done by submerging it in hot water, around 160–180 degrees Fahrenheit, for an hour, then draining and allowing it to cool. Step 2. Obtain lion's mane mushroom spawn. Purchase lion's mane mushroom spawn from a reputable supplier. The spawn is often available in the form of sawdust or grain that has been inoculated with lion's mane mycelium. This spawn serves as the root system for your mushrooms and is crucial for successful growth. Step 3. Inoculate the substrate. Mix the spawn thoroughly with your prepared and cooled substrate. A typical spawn to substrate ratio is about 1:10. Fill bags or containers with the substrate mixture and evenly distribute the spawn throughout. Step 4. Incubation. Place the inoculated substrate in a dark, cool place, such as a basement or a storage area, where the temperature is consistently between 65 and 75 degrees Fahrenheit. Maintaining high humidity is crucial, so ensure the substrate remains moist but not soggy. Step 5. Monitor and maintain moisture. Regularly check the substrate to ensure it stays humid. Mist the substrate lightly if it starts to dry out. Within a few weeks, the mycelium should colonize the substrate, evident by a dense white webbing spreading throughout the material. Step 6. Fruiting. Once the substrate is fully colonized, expose it to indirect light and maintain the temperature at the cooler end of the range to encourage fruiting. Increasing the humidity during this phase will support the development of the mushroom primordia. Step 7. Harvesting. Lion's mane mushrooms are ready to harvest when their spines have elongated and hang freely, usually within a week or two of beginning to fruit. Harvest by cutting the mushrooms at the base of their stems. Step 8. Continuous production. After the first flush of mushrooms, the substrate can continue to produce multiple harvests. Allow the substrate to rest for a couple of weeks and then rehydrate it to stimulate additional fruiting. This process can be repeated until the substrate is exhausted. As you can see, the process for cultivating mushrooms, regardless of the type, is relatively similar. So, if you're looking to add mushrooms to your garden, don't be afraid to try a few different types and see what works best for you and your gardening conditions. Thank you for watching our video, and feel free to drop any tips you may have about growing mushrooms in your garden in the comments. There is always more to learn. Until next time, happy gardening.